Welcome back, my favorite artists, to Mrs. Mayo's in-home art studio. This week, we're going to be creating one of my favorite lessons from home. We are going to be making Alberto Giacometti inspired action sculptures. So Alberto Giacometti was a Swiss, believe it or not. He lived on the border of Switzerland and Italy in his youth. Was sort of a surrealist artist, but then left that movement to create these really incredible elongated, which is a fancy word for really long sculptures, in action. You are going to create one using not bronze like Giacometti used, but tinfoil. You may also want to put something inside your tinfoil. I have gathered some plastic knives. And at the end, when you've completed your sculpture, you are going to mount it, if possible, on some sort of piece of cardboard. I took the back of an old artist pad, but a cereal box would be great. You just have to cut out the base or whatever you have on hand. So as we've talked about in class and at home so many times, artists make a plan. So I looked at the work created by Alberto Giacometti, and then I thought about the way I'm feeling right now. And I'm feeling so excited for summer, as I'm sure you all are too. So I created a drawing that honored Giacometti's style of really elongated, stretched out figures with these textures. Remember, texture in art can be implied, which means it looks like it feels a certain way, but in reality, it wouldn't feel that way. However, Giacometti's sculptures, it is not implied texture. I was very, very lucky to see a show of Giacometti's sculptures and paintings at the Museum of Modern Art in New York like 15 years ago, and they were incredible. They're really, like, I've shared with you in class, I've gotten in trouble at museums because I almost become like hypnotized by the work and I want to touch it, and that was very true with his work. The sculptures are so textured, and aluminum foil really honors that because we're going to create some textures while we create our action sculptures. So again, gather, all you really need is aluminum foil, which most homes have. If you do not have it, you certainly could try this with Play-Doh or any sort of sculpting dough. But really, truly, aluminum foil, you can get it at the dollar store. And obviously all grocery stores. My favorite store, Job Lot, sells aluminum foil. You can get this, and it's really inexpensive, and it's a really fun sculpting material. So take a moment, pause the video, gather your supplies. I recommend making a quick plan, but feel free to have the art just speak to you as you're working too. All right, let's get started. So I think it's best to take your aluminum foil and very carefully, some come with a little blade like mine at the top. Obviously you don't want to touch that. Be very careful. I don't want you to get a cut while creating this wonderful work. I think it's best practice to make a few sheets before you start. So I did 4, and that should be plenty. So I'm gonna start with the head. And to make the head, I'm gonna take a little corner and bunch it up. And again, it's elongated, which means stretched out. So I'm kind of trying, and I don't want it flat on one side. So the really great thing about tin foil is just like clay, it's forgiving when it's wet clay, but you can rework it. So I've made the head to my figure, and I just used 1/4, and I pinched and pulled just like we would with clay. Then I'm taking my plastic knife, and this is gonna serve as one leg, the leg that's gonna come down to my stand. And sorry, I forgot to introduce you to these works. This is Giacometti's Walking Man, and this is Giacometti's Falling Man. Both are made of bronze, and they are elongated action figures. So I have my head, and now I'm going to insert my plastic knife. That's called an armature. It just means it's going to hold it still in that place. So I'm starting to think about, now this is not proportional. Now we talked about the word proportion. It means it is not real life distances from things. So don't stress about that. So now starting to see where I'm going to put my arm, and now I've got most of that leg. Can you start to see my figure coming together here? I hope so. I have my next piece ready, and I'm just gonna wrap it around what I started to create here. And see how in my sketch, it really, I don't know if you can look at, I have the arms coming up like I'm jumping for joy. So I am gonna continue to do that. Now I feel comfortable ripping the tin foil, but if you don't, feel free to use your kid-friendly scissors. But it is pretty easy to rip, but even easier to cut. So if you feel like scissors are a better option for you, go with that. Now I kind of want my head a little longer, so this piece I just ripped off, I'm not gonna waste. I'm gonna make my head just a little bit bigger. Now I'm noticing and observing that the tin foil has two sides. It has a more shiny side, which I'm using, but it also has a more matte or less shiny side. You use whatever you feel comfortable or like the most. Feel free to give it hair or a hat. There we go. Ready for my next arm. See how I'm kind of wrapping it around just to secure it in place there? That was my technique to keep it all together, was wrapping it around. There we go. And when it gets a little wobbly, if you have clear tape, you could do that, or just wrap it around again with like a larger thin strip. But you want to remember to keep that texture consistent throughout, unless you deliberately or make an artist plan to want it different. All right, I'm ready to finish my two legs here. So I have one leg kicked up and then one that's gonna come and anchor down. Not long enough. So my leg wasn't as long as I would like. So I'm making the choice to insert another leg armature in there, another plastic knife. Now you could certainly use old pencils of different lengths, cut cardboard, other things. Where did I put the tin foil? We're gonna rip 2 more sheets. And I want to be careful because my leg's getting a little wider than I really want. So I want to make sure I'm really pinching that to elongate it, thin it out. Bottom. All right, I just have my last leg kicking up, almost structurally sound on its own. Kind of incredible. So if you don't need to make a base, kudos to you. It's cool. I'm going to give her some hits. I'm making mine a her, but you certainly don't have to. really show where that need would be. Just need one more little bit for the foot and to attach it to the hip. Can you tell I've done this before? I did actually used to do this exact lesson when I used to teach at Broad Rock. They were awesome. I wish I had them on my current iPhone, but it was a long time ago. No, they're not saved on my cloud or whatever. I actually really like it just like that. All right, last step, guys. The last step, ideally, would involve some parent help. All right, guys, so again, I'm using Gorilla Glue, super glue. Elmer's glue won't work. You need to have something that dries quickly, and this should not be done by a kid. This is not a child's resource, this is an adult resource. So if a hot glue gun would be ideal, I just have mine at school. So remember, if you don't have super glue or Gorilla Glue, that is fine. You could certainly use tape or get it to stand on its own. Whatever you have, you will use. But I do not want any of you using the Gorilla Glue on your own or super glue. Again, that is really a adult job. So I put my super glue down there, and now I'm gluing my figure down. And I'm gonna hold it in place, see if it works. Really loving it. Woo! All right, guys. I hope you have as much fun making your Giacometti inspired action figures as I have. I really did. I loved doing this. I want you to take a moment to look at the shadow my figure creates. If we were doing in the classroom, we would also be casting light on here and coloring in the shadow with a pencil. So feel free to do that. But I made this awesome sculpture with just some plastic knives, tin foil, a little tiny bit of super glue, and chipboard. Cereal box cut down would work the same. I really hope you have the opportunity. My heart has been broken. We weren't able to do our clay unit in the classroom, but this really, as epic, you can make it at home very easily. Have fun, enjoy. I can't wait to see what you create. Take a moment to really check out Giacometti's work. One of my absolute favorite artists. Like I said, this was a unit I taught in the classroom at Broad Rock like 10 years ago. All right, be well, guys. I miss you.